providing a lot of virtual assistant services, bookkeeping services. So that's kind of what I've done over the last 5 years. I was in a brick and mortar in 9 months when I first started. I had outgrown myself. So as you guys know, a lot of you know, I mean, Chelsea said it today. She's like, girl, you are everywhere. And I'm like, but there's a reason for that. So I've worked really hard on getting myself and my business and my logo and my branding out in the world because I know that is what was going to matter. I knew networking is what was going to matter in my business. If I wasn't going to get out and be in front of people, there's no way that people are going to trust me in order to support my business, or I can refer them. So we're going to kind of go through some information today about what I've done. These are the things I've done. Again, I did a lot of virtual assistant services. I've worked with, at this point, probably over 125 small businesses. So I focus on small business, probably under $1 million a year. Most of my clients are under $500,000 a year. That's the market I like because I like education. I like explaining why things work the way they work and how you can make it better for yourself and easier on yourself. So that is what I do and what I feel. And so it's so weird. I'm like, so, but saying that, I've worked with so many different types of industries. So where other people might have, this is what I do, I have experience from 125 companies that I've worked with. So I've gotten to see a lot of different things, a lot of softwares and a lot of computer systems and a lot of onboarding and a lot of different processes. And at the end of the day, the process is the same, whether you're an esthetician, you do massage, or you do sound baths. It's all the same if you can get the fundamentals of your company set up correctly. So that's what we're going to talk about today. First thing, of course, networking, as we all are here to do. So we all know the rules, right? We're not going to talk about this long term. Everyone knows it. If they don't know you and they don't like you and they don't trust you, they're not going to use you and they're not going to refer you. So the very first thing I did whenever I started this company in 2020 is I went and became a member of the Yukon Chamber of Commerce. That was the very first thing I did because I knew I had to get in community. I knew people had to see me and trust me. And that's how I started the business, was getting into the Yukon Chamber. And I was getting clients then. So even during COVID, that's when everything kind of started. And I was working on all these people. And that's where it started for me. So we all know they have to know, like, trust you, build your local community, which you guys are here to do. Kudos. Chambers, community coffees, sponsorships. I mean, I don't know how many times I spent $25 because people are like, I need, $25 for the baseball team and Minko. Great. Here's 25 bucks. If I can get my logo out there, right, people are going to know you a lot faster. So if it's worth the money, do it. Elevator pitch. I would highly recommend you get with Faith Ann Basor. Woo! Who does nothing but, specializes in networking, specializes in elevator pitches, short, persuasive summaries of who you are, what you're looking for, and how you can solve a problem. Because that's why people hire you. It's because you have to solve a problem for them. I want to talk about logo and brand awareness. I'm very blessed. I'm very lucky. When I first started this company, I knew I needed a logo that was going to stand out and say, mean something. And I can tell you right now, to this day, people know my logo long before they ever know who I am. I was working with a woman. I was on Messenger. We were talking back and forth. I had ordered some cups. And I'm sure you guys remember there were, just tankers out in the Pacific Ocean for months and nothing was moving. Well, my cups were out there. And we were waiting like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months went by. We could not get these cups for anything. And I finally said, hey, just send me a refund. And then if for some reason you get the cups and I'm still in the market, I'll buy it. And she's like, yes, absolutely. I'm so sorry. And I sent over my Venmo, which has my company logo on it. And she goes, oh my gosh, I follow you on social media. I'd been working with this woman for months using my name. She didn't even know my company name at that point because we hadn't gotten the material. But that logo meant something to her. So make sure, tell people this all the time, make sure it's memorable. Make sure it's simple, easy to remember. Something I also try to tell people is make sure it's versatile. Does it look good on a business card? Does it look good on a billboard? What does it look like in black and white? So those are all things to think about when you're talking about logos. So branding, as we all know, and there are several branding people in this room, so highly recommend you connect with your community. Branding is about shaping how customers feel and think about your business. So a strong brand builds trust, attracts loyal customers, and creates a lasting impression. So something I always say is, how do you stand out in a crowded market? How are you different? How are you promoting yourself to be different? Because that is what branding can do for your business. So do you want to be the professional? Do you want to be casual? I'm a very casual, laid back, as most of y'all know. I am hysterical. And that is how I want my brand to be. I want people to know that this is hard. And I say that every day. This is hard. I was literally, who did I tell that to? You want to, Rebecca, yesterday. Huh? Oh, yeah. Yeah, yesterday. I figured it out. Yesterday, I lost $700 worth of clients. Yesterday. I'm like, this is hard. And as she said, people don't even understand the magic of doing this in a room. People have no concept how hard this is unless you're in it. But that's why we do what we do, though, because I wouldn't have it any other way. I love this. I love getting to do this and serve people and help people all day long. Am I willing to take the hit? Absolutely, because that just means something else is going to come along that's more aligned. And that's where I'm at in my business, and that's how I think about my business. Anything that's meant for me is going to be for me, right? I have to do the work. I'm responsible for my outcome and what happens in my life and in this business, just like you are. So make sure that your branding is on point. How are you standing out in a crowded market? Creating a memorable identity, building confidence in your business, and it encourages repeat customers. Insurance and contracts. This is not the fluffy side of business people want to talk about. Nobody wants to have this conversation, and I appreciate that. But this, for me, is the piece that people don't even understand, is the part that protects you the most. So here are some statistics, because I love statistics, because I'm a nerd. 36 to 53% of small businesses are sued every year. 43% of small businesses are threatened with a lawsuit, so that's almost 1 in 2. And about 45% of small businesses are currently involved in litigation, so that's almost 1 in 2. So the question becomes, what are you doing to protect yourself and your business? Okay. Make sure you have the insurance needed. Make sure you're having general liability insurance, E&O, workers' comp, whatever that looks like for you. I want to talk about auto insurance for a moment. I know I think most of your sheets say 100, 300, 100. Do we have any insurance agents in the room? I don't. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm going to do high level real quick. She'll get it. High level, okay? 100, 300, 100, high level synopsis. What that stands for is the first 100 is if you get in an accident and you hit somebody, they're going to pay $100,000 for medical coverage if there's one person in the vehicle, correct? Up to $100,000 per person, up to $300,000. Correct. If there's more than one person, it'll be up to $300,000, and the last $100,000 is for property damage. Okay. I think the state of Oklahoma minimum is 25, 50, 25. Right. Okay. So here's the problem with that. If you go and you hit a $50,000 vehicle and you have coverage that's $25,000, what do you think happens for the other 25? They sue you. They come after you. And so I was having this conversation with one of my clients, and something came up and we were talking about insurance, and she told me her coverage, and I laughed. I was like, oh no, you need to call your insurance agent and increase that immediately to at least 100, 300, 100 minimum. And she called her insurance agent, talked to them, did some stuff. You want to know how much it cost her to increase her coverage? $5 a month. Okay. It matters. She will tell you. It cost her $5 a month. And now she's protected. Please find an insurance agent who's going to support you and actually walk you through some. Another big one, if you work from home and you guys are running a business from your home, are you actually protected? Because a lot of the times you're not protected. You think you're protected, but the stuff that's in your home is not protected based on the amount. So have a conversation with your insurance agent. It matters. Contracts. I worked with a electrical company, and she went out to a home. They were working on some outlets, fixing some stuff. Uh, Went, did the job, left, went home. Next day, the homeowner called and said, "You broke my TV." And she goes, "We didn't break your TV." And she's like, "Well, that outlet that you repaired yesterday is where my little new $4,000 right high definition TV, and now the TV's not working." What do you think happened? She went and bought a $4,000 TV. You want to know why? Because she had no contract, she had no pictures, she had nothing. And that's what I tell people too. Depending on the industry that you're in, our job as a business owner is to protect ourselves. So, my recommendation, you absolutely need a contract. Make sure it's in writing, protect yourself, because if you go to court, that is the only thing standing between you and a lawsuit that's going to happen. I had a plumbing company. She went out to a home. They had some stuff going on, and she's like, "You need to do these 6 repairs. These are the 6 things that you need to do." And the homeowner said, "I don't have that kind of money." She's like, "Well, can you do just 1 and 2, and then I'll circle back for 3, 4, and 5." And she's like, "Well, yeah, but that's really not what you need to be doing. I mean, you need to be doing all 5." And she didn't have the money. She fixed 1 and 2. Well, literally a week later, the homeowner called and said, "Hey, you didn't make the repairs that I told you that I needed you to make." She's like, "Well, we had that conversation, right? I need you to do 1 through 5, and you agreed only to do 2 because that's all the money you had." She's like, "Well, that's not what I wanted." You want to know what happened? They sued her. Okay? Again, she had no contract. She had nothing protecting herself, saying, "Hey, these are the 5 things that I would highly recommend you do to protect yourself." You are agreeing that only 1 and 2 is getting done. So at that point, it's your responsibility as the homeowner. She had nothing in writing. She had no pictures. I tell people all the time, before, during, and after, you need to take pictures to protect yourself. Now, a lot of us in this room, we don't do that kind of work. But if you know someone, I mean, I see it every single day, the stuff that happens. And I just want to make sure you're protected. So have those conversations or send them to me and I will have those conversations. I want to talk about company setup. There are some beautiful, amazing Facebook groups. And people will go, "I want to start a business. What do I do?" And they'll go, "Oh, just go out to the Secretary of State and file an LLC." And my eye twitches every single time I see that. And if the amount of times, if I was like, "For the love of God, do not do that. That's a horrible idea." And I can't say that because I'm a nice person. That is a horrible idea. That is not my recommendation for starting a new business, ever. I don't know about Sarah. That's never my recommendation. My recommendation is always to get with the CPA. There are different benefits and tax ramifications based on the kind of company you set up. There are benefits that matter if you do not set up your business correctly, where you're going to get the most write-offs in your business. Now, yes, LLCs are very popular. I understand that because it does provide some kind of protection. S corporations is normally a better fit for a small business depending on the amount of money that you're making. If you have an LLC and you're paying a bunch of money at the end of the year, there's probably a reason why. So again, sit down, have the conversation with the CPA, make sure you truly understand what's going on in your business and why your business structure is set up the way it is. Once you set up a company, it is also highly recommended that you go and set up a bank account with that tax ID number, okay? The reason we do this is for protection. It's about liability, okay? If you are commingling, like as we like to say, commingling your funds, okay, and we're paying personal from business and business from personal, and the amount of stuff that we have to do as bookkeepers, what it does is it puts you in a position of liability. So if something happens to you and you get sued and you have not clearly distinguished personal from business, what you do is you open the IRS up and anyone else to liability. So you've given them access not just to your business information and your funds, you're now giving them access to personal because there's no distinction. Does that make sense? That is why we tell you, make sure you keep it separated. Make sure personal stays in personal. business stays in personal. If I need to move $1,000 from my business into my personal account and pay my mortgage and my personal utilities and all the stuff, that's how we want to do it. We want an owner draw or an owner investment. We want to draw or we want to invest money into the business. We always want to transfer it. We don't ever want it to be commingled. Something I have this consistently. People will go, well, yeah, and then I have payroll. And I'm like, let's back up for a second. When you say payroll, because they'll say, I'm paying myself payroll. And I'm like, okay, well, does that mean that you're doing a payroll check? As in, I'm paying federal and Medicare and Social Security and OES, Oklahoma withholding? Or is that kind of payroll? Well, no, I'm just moving $1,000 into my personal. That is not payroll. That is an owner draw. And I'm just telling you this because terminology is a big thing. And what I have figured out is it gets people into a lot of trouble. People go, oh yeah, I run payroll. No, boo, you ain't running payroll. You're doing an owner draw. So, and if you can, based on the amount of money, you're paying taxes on that at the end of the year, right? I mean, because you're not paying in taxes. So, always something to think about. I want to talk about business receipts. Everyone runs it different. I do recommend you keep business receipts. I tell my clients, go get a $7.99 accordion file down at Walmart. It's by month. Print your receipt, put it in there, put your receipts in there. Of course, you can do it through most accounting softwares. You can scan your receipts. There's apps, whatever you want to do. I just tell people, again, it's about protection. If anything happens, your bank statement and your credit card statement are not sufficient. If you get audited, they need a copy of the actual receipt with an itemized description. And I'm going to go one step further. Apps, Venmo, Zelle, Cash App, PayPal, right? Anytime if I pay something through Venmo, I print that receipt that I get. If someone pays me for something through Venmo, I print that receipt and I put it in there. Because if something happens and a year from now, you need to find something or you get audited 3 years from now from the IRS and you don't have receipts, you're going to have to start digging. And I don't want to dig. So all my stuff's together. I make it very simple. Everything's in a folder. There's my receipts for the year and I don't have to mess with it. So if you're not keeping track of receipts, I would highly recommend you start doing that. Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Or a business coffee, mm-hmm. You have to put the name of the person on it that you were having lunch with, because otherwise the IRS knows that.
Yeah. It's about, yeah. Yeah, because too many people do it. For me and how I run my business, I want transparency. And that's how I run my business. Nobody has to guess when it comes to my stuff, ever. I mean, and I do that for a reason, because I am never going to put myself in that position where I'm going to get audited for some reason and I can't explain it, right? I don't do that for myself. I don't do that for my clients. Now, I am all about gray. I'm 50 shades of gray, but that a girl, but yeah, all about the gray. But I am never going to put myself or my clients in a position where it's going to put them in a position of trouble, ever. It's not worth it. So, and I tell people, I literally had a conversation this morning with a client and she's like, well, what about this? And I could do this and I can do this. And I said, you're playing with fire. You need to stop, and depending on how bad it gets, I'll cut them off. I'll fire them because I am not willing to put myself or my name on that job. So, and I was like, you're playing with fire, and Mendy doesn't play with fire. So anyway, budgets. Let's talk about a budget. This is what happens consistently. We start a company, we don't know what we're doing, and we undercharge. We don't have enough faith or belief in ourselves, let alone to understand what pricing actually looks like when we first start. And so most companies start underpriced. I mean, I remember when I started, I was charging like $20 an hour. And at this point, I won't even do it for under $100, depending on services. But you gain that, right? You gain that skill set. You gain that confidence to know, I know what I'm doing and I can do that good. And I'm equipped to take care of that. So we're going to walk through a budget because A lot of people don't even have a budget. They don't even know how to start a budget. I literally went to CV Tech last week and I sat down and I taught classes over there to their entrepreneur kids. And I mean, I love doing that. But, you have these kids and I want to be an entrepreneur. When you live with your mom, you don't even know how much money you need to make. How are you supposed to start a business? Right? Well, I don't need a budget. Oh, but you do. So we're going to do a high-level review real quick of what a budget looks like. If you do not have one, please sit down, at least do the high-level information so that you can feel more confident about where you are. So we're going to look at this real quick. We're going to look at the one that says J of 23. If you look down, the total expenses is $38.60. Everyone with me? Perfect. Okay. On the left side, you're going to see something that says type. You have personal and business. So this is what I tell people to do. I want you to sit down and I want you to write a high-level overhead budget. How much is my mortgage? How much are my utilities? Average amount. I mean, you don't have to go to the penny. I'm like $185. Great. $200. Round up. Always round up. How much are you paying for internet? Right? Cable, car insurance, cell phone, Hulu. Right? All the stuff. Do you have any credit cards that you pay monthly? And then I want you to do the same thing with the budget or the business. What's your lease? Office utilities, health insurance, website, Adobe, GoDaddy. Oh my God, all the stuff, right? Miller Lite. Whatever it is. I want you to go and do a high level. What is consistently coming out of your account? So we're going to use this number just to make it easy. So again, this is high level. Total expenses, we're going to use $38.60. So I tell people just round up. We're going to round it up to $4,000. Okay? So $4,000, most months are 4 weeks. So we're going to take 4 weeks. So that gets you $1,000 a week. Okay? Most of us work 5 days a week. That's going to get us $200 a day. Most people work 8 hours a day. That's going to give us $25 an hour. Does that make sense? Okay. So just to cover my house and my utilities and all my big stuff where I don't want nothing cutting off, I need to make at least $25 an hour. That is no food. That is no entertainment. That is no fuel. That is nothing else. So if this piece right here, people aren't even doing when they start a business. And then what happens is they start selling their stuff for $25 and they're in the hole their entire career and their entire business. And I see this every single day. 3 of the clients that I lost yesterday have been open less than 6 months and they've already closed because of cash flow. Because they didn't do this. They have no idea how much money they need to make. And they're like, we don't have any money, Mendy. I see that. Right? But they didn't have a plan. So you need to have that base number because then we need to schedule a profit margin. We probably need to be billing $40 an hour at least, right? Probably $50. So if you don't have a budget, please sit down and do one. I think it's very important for everybody. Bring on sales. This is the part no one tells us about, right? We start a business, we have a passion for what we want to do, but here's the piece no one tells you. Only 15% of your business is actually what you bring to it. The other 85% is all the other stuff no one even told you about. Social media and, websites and email marketing and operations and I need to hire, for the love of God, financing and bookkeeping. Nobody tells you about all that when you start a company, right? And that is the piece that sucks us dry. That is the piece because none of us in this room have experience in every area needed to truly build a successful business. And that is why people fail, unfortunately. 1 in 2 businesses close every year. In under a year. 1 in 2. So, this is what I tell people to do. I want you to focus on your strengths and your weaknesses. What do you love to do? Love doing? What do you hate doing in your business? Me, social media. For the love of God, if I never had to touch Facebook and Instagram, I never would. And I don't, because that's the very first piece I hired out in my business. I hate it. I don't want to write content. I have no desire to write content. It makes, she knows what I'm talking about. Miss, I have 16 Instagram accounts open right now.
But I'm paid for them.
Right? So find out what you love and what you hate. And the stuff that is not your strength, hand it off. It is not worth, you have to outsource. And we're going to talk about outsourcing here in a second. I always like to talk about customers. Me and Bethan have this conversation all the time. Customers are your biggest success stories. If they're with you, they want to see you succeed. They want to help you. They want to refer you. They want to encourage you. They want to support you. So my question becomes, how are you staying in front of your customers? Because for me, something I do very consistently and very well, I am always in front of my customers. Okay? Only 13% of business owners keep their clientele. 13%. And you want to know why? It's because they don't ever see them until they need them. So, again, how are you staying engaged? Every year, at least 3 times a year, everyone gets a Christmas gift. I try to do birthday gifts. I try to send regular cards with gifts consistently. I do that for my customers, but I also do it for my vendors, people who work for me, because it matters. I want to stay engaged. I want to stay in front of them. When people sit there and go, hey, do you need a bookkeeper? Hey, you need to call Mendy. Hey, I'm really struggling with building out my business. I have no idea what to do. Hey, you need to call Mendy. You have to stay present. How are you choosing to stay present with your customers? Whether that is gifts, email marketing, drip campaigns, thank you cards, whatever that is. Me and Sybil Hale had that conversation. And here's the thing. You have to be present, not pushy. We want to be engaged. We want people to see us, but we do not want to be blowing up their accounts all the time, right? We do not want to be pushy. Okay, so how are you staying present, not pushy, with your clients and in the room that you're in? When we sit and do networking, how are you staying present, right? What are you doing to set yourself up and be a part? Set yourself up differently than everyone else in the room. People who actively seek out and ask for referrals earn 4 to 5 times more money. So I say this all the time because this is something I feel like a lot of us don't do. Do you know someone who would be a good referral for me? So let me tell you what's going to happen. Because I lost 4 clients yesterday, I'm going to go and I'm going to send an email to my customers and I'm going to say, do you have one person that you can refer to me who needs services? One. Okay. Well, right now I'm sitting at, I think I'm sitting at around 40 clients. So let's just say everyone referred me one person. What do you think that does to my book of business if I can onboard them? Even if I can board 10% of that, what do you think that does to my business? Mm-hmm. You have to ask them. They will help you. You just have to ask them. Do you know someone who's a good referral for me? And then make sure that you are getting Google reviews or social media reviews, something, because that is what's going to help elevate you. If you go in right now and you type in Mendy Applegate or you type in Honeydew Checklist, it pops up first on Google. I've worked really hard for that. But it matters, and we all know it matters, and how we present ourselves online matters, but being in these rooms matter too. So how are you staying engaged where we can get more visibility in your business? Time management. I call it the cap. So when demand starts creating pressure in your business and you no longer have time to manage your business because you're too busy doing the business and you're in the weeds, you have literally capped your own company. I have this conversation a lot because people are struggling and they're pulling 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week because they've capped their business. Okay? Well, if you're pulling that kind of time, you have no energy for anything else, right? And let alone what your personal life looks like, because that's the part that's going to probably struggle the most, right? If you're pulling that many hours in your business. So don't become the cap of your own company. We have to have time management. We need to do time blocking. We need to say, my hours are 8 to 5, and after that, it doesn't matter. There is nothing, and I say that every day, there is nothing that I do in that office. I am not curing cancer, guys. There is nothing I am doing in that office that cannot wait till 7 o'clock the next morning. Nothing. And I'll go a step further. If you have people who are sending you messages at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night because you have not set a boundary in your business, that unfortunately, I say it every single day, that is on you, right? I have a structure and I have hours, and my hours are 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and my office is closed on Fridays, right? That is my time. Because here's the other piece. I serve all these clients, but when do I have time to manage my business? Because I have emails and social media and bookkeeping, and I have all that stuff to do for my own company. So are you actually setting aside time to take care of yourself and your business? Are you doing that during the day? Or are you doing that on your evenings and weekends because you've spaced out so much time for everybody else? What are you doing to take care of you? Most of us don't, right? Map out your day, big one. Write a to-do list. Determine your most productive hours of the day. For me, I'm an early bird, Mackenzie. I mean, I'm usually up by 5. I get up, I go to the gym, I go do all my stuff. And then I'm usually sitting at my desk working by 6:30, 7 o'clock. And I have clients in there like, oh my God, man, what the hell are you doing working at 6:30 in the morning? But here's the thing. I kick out the hardest thing for my day, and my day is a coast from 10 a.m. on, right? So figure out what's your most productive time. What do you really, like, I'm an early bird. Mackenzie's a late bird. The amount of emails, it's funny. But, right? But it's true. And that's okay because that's what works for her. So find that routine. Are you an early bird, mid-afternoon, evening, whatever that looks like, and try to schedule your work hours around that so you're not having to work so many hours. And then, of course, as I like to say, focus on the income producing side of the company. There are so many things, right? There are so many things that we have to do every single day. So if it is not generating income in your business, more than likely it is a piece of the company that you should be handing off to somebody else. So for me, what makes my business money, because I mean, I will fight to the death on this. I love serving people. I love it. I love doing this. I love helping people. I love helping people get their business set up and feeling good and confident and going, oh my God, that's so amazing. But you know what? At the end of the day, I do this because I need to make money. Right? I want to help people, but I do this to make money. I do this for the freedom to be self-employed and to go do what I want to do in my life. Right? What does that look like for you? So producing income for me is networking because I have to get in rooms with other business owners. That's where I make my money, right? Sitting down and doing a meet and greet with a potential client. That is something I have to do. All this other stuff that is required of us in a business, it's not required. I don't have to do it. I have 3 companies that work for me. I will glad Mackenzie's one of them. I will hand that crap off every second I get because it gives me back my time in order to focus on the stuff that I really need to do as a business owner. I hear this all the time, more times than I can count. I can't afford to hire. And I'm like, oh, but you can. And you're actually losing money. So I always I'm a visual person, so I always like to show it to you in numbers. So again, if I can sit down and I can work with a client and I can make $100 an hour, and then I go and I spend an hour and I'm sending emails, I'm making phone calls, and I'm sending email marketing, and I'm doing that, how much money did I make that hour? Nada. So what happens if I can make $100 an hour and I can pay her $60 an hour? I still made money, right? And then now I'm not pulling 50, 60, 70 hours a week, and I have my evenings back and I have my weekends back, and the work's getting done simultaneously. I'm not having to deal with it at all. I get to sit down, work my 40 hours, pull my hours, take care of my clients, do what I need to do, and this whole other set of work is getting done. I never have to touch. So that's what I try to tell people because I hear it every day. I can't afford to hire. Hire it out. Social media, virtual assistant, bookkeeping, CPAs. I mean, all of it. Kayla does my meals for me. Thank God. Freaking A, man. If you haven't had her food, you need to. This woman right here cooks for me every single week. She brings it to my house. I literally get to go, put it in my microwave, warm it up for 2 minutes, and I am done. You know how much time that saves me in my life? I mean, it can be other stuff like that. It doesn't even have to be business related. That right there is a huge burden for me because I hate cooking. Okay, trauma, hate it. Right? Trauma. So, I mean, for me, if I can come home or I'm working or I'm on the go and I'm bouncing between meetings and I can just throw something in my car and eat it on the way, and I know that it's healthy and it's not fast food. I mean, the amount of weight that this woman takes off me every single week is huge. So, what are your non business wins? What are you doing for yourself, right? To make your life easier? Do you have a house cleaner? Do you have someone prepping food? Well, what does that look like? What are you doing to take some of the energy and the time off of your schedule? Because that's a really big piece in us making it as a business owner. I don't know what your next slide is, girls. I do want to talk about, I'm going to talk about the HDC Academy. So that is what this postcard is right here. So this is what's happened. Again, I've worked with over 125 businesses over the last 5 years. Consistently, I see all these things that people go and they set it up and it's wrong and they don't even realize it's wrong because we don't know what we don't know, and we're just fumbling through it. We're just trying to do the best we can every single day to get through it, right? So this is what I did. I built an online business course because consistently companies they're struggling through it. They start making some money, usually in year 2 through 5, they start making a little bit of money. And then they realize that everything that they've set up is wrong. And they have to go back and reset up everything they've done. Okay? Or some people have been in business longer and we are flipping softwares a million times. Or we have bought subscriptions that we haven't even touched. Or we've bought softwares that we need to implement because and we haven't even implemented them because who has time for that, right? And it happens every single day and I see it. So I went out and I built a course on building out a business foundation. So what's included in this program, you get a video from me every single month on a subject. So for example, month 1 is foundations, is what happens. So in month 1, we talk about LLC, S Corp, bank receipts, mileage versus fuel. I mean, we talk about a bunch of different stuff. So you get a video from me, you get action items of these are the 5 things I want you to work on this month. Let's just get these 5 things done. There are live Q&As, so you actually get to sit down and work with other business owners. So it's, I don't know what to do. What did you do about this? Or how did you handle this? Or should I do this? What does that look like to be sitting in a room with other business owners who have already gone through what you've been through or who are struggling, and you can help them? Okay, so you get live Q&A. Templates are included. You need a service contract, it's included in the course. You need a contractor agreement, it's included with the course. All your templates are included, and then also industry referrals. So, because I hear it all the time. Literally, I got an email last night from a woman, hey, I need CPA recommendations. Send her a list of CPAs that I work with. People that I know and I work with consistently and I trust them. And I know they're going to take care of my people. So if you are struggling in your business, if you constantly feel like you're just missing pieces all the time, or I didn't even know I was supposed to renew my LLC. Girl, I get that one a lot. They're like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And I'm like, it's a thing. I mean, if that is what you're feeling in your business, if you just constantly feel overwhelmed and you're just freezing more than you're actually moving, I definitely would love to have you in this course. HDC normally runs $99. If you are here today, I'm actually offering a price of $49.50, half off. So if you'd like to join, I would love to get you in the program. I think it could be a really good benefit to you and your business, but it's also, for me, it's the collaboration, getting to work with other business owners, getting to have those conversations, because I feel like, and me and Chelsea were talking about that earlier, I feel like that's a part we don't get very often. We don't get to just sit down and go, what am I supposed to do with that? How did you handle that? But those conversations don't happen, right? We go, we network, we do a little 30-minute, I'm so-and-so, but I mean, where's that? Who's building that platform? And that's what I wanted to build. So I have some amazing people in there. I have business owners that recently just started within a year, and I have people who have been in business for 10 years. And their business is doing great, but they're like, stuff pops up all the time, and I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with it or how I'm supposed to handle it. I don't know. Me and Mackenzie have that conversation all the time. I mean, so I'd love to have you. Use code 36 square, capital letters. I would love to have you in the program. Monthly. Yep. And then I think I have a slide on there. There is a Google review. Since we just had that conversation, I'd love for you to leave me a Google review. Tell me what you thought about the class today, how I can support you. I'd love for you to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, whatever that looks like for you. Do you guys have any questions? I mean, and that's the thing. Like, this is, I did this in 30 minutes. What do you think you could get out of a 12-month program like this?
Not questions, but kudos.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've literally been doing this over 10 years for myself, and if I only knew what I know now back then, it would be so different. I'd be on an island somewhere, and you guys would be, I would be talking to you remotely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know unless someone shares it with you. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be open. You know, you make mistakes every day, right?
Yep, every day.
And thank God for people like her who are going to help us.
Yeah.
It's not, everything's fixable.
Oh, yeah. There's, again, I'm not curing cancer, guys. It can be fixed.